Okay then, so now we can successfully add new to-dos. The next step is to be able to delete to-dos when we click on the trash can icon next to them. Now, I suppose what we could do is query the DOM for all the trash can icons and then attach an event listener to those. But there's two problems with that. First of all, if there's a lot of to-dos, then it's a lot of work for JavaScript to do attaching event listeners to every single trash can. This could affect performance of the site. Secondly, if we attached listeners to the trash cans, every time we add a new to-do, we've got to manually set up a new listener for that trash can on that new to-do. So an easier and more efficient way would be to use event delegation, which we've already covered in this course. So we could attach an event listener to the whole UL itself, not the individual list items. Then whenever anything is clicked inside that UL, the callback function is going to fire. So inside that function, we can then detect if the target element was in fact a trash can. So the target element is just the element which was actually clicked. If it was the trash can, we can then go about deleting the li tag for that to do. If it wasn't the trash can, then we don't need to do anything. So if they click over here, we can just ignore that. So this way, using event delegation is much better for two reasons. First, we're only attaching one event listener to one containing element, the UL, so it's less work for JavaScript to do and more efficient in terms of performance. And second, whenever we add a new to-do using this form down here, we don't need to worry about adding new listeners for that to-do because the to-do will be inside the UL, which is what the listener will be attached to. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to attach a listener to the UL now. So then if we go over to our app.js file, at the top we already have this list reference, which is the UL. So if we go to index, we can see the UL has this class of to-dos. So we have that reference now, and we can just attach an event listener to this list. So let's come to the bottom and let's add this event listener. So a little comment first of all to say delete to-dos, and then underneath that we'll get the list and say add event listener. We want to listen for a click event and then fire a callback function which takes the event object as a parameter. Now inside here, what do we want to do? We want to check if the thing that we click is in fact the trash can. Now over here, we can see that the trash can has a class of delete. So what we could do is check if the class list of the element that we click contains delete. So let's do this. Let's do a little if check. We'll say if, and then in brackets, we want e.target. That gets us the actual element that was clicked, the target element. And then we can find out the class list of that element. And then once we have that class list, we can use a method called contains. And what this method does is look to see if the class list of the target element that we clicked contains a specific class. Now the class we're looking for is the delete class. So if the target element, when we click it, contains this delete class, then it must be the trash can that we've clicked because only that contains the delete class. If we click this, then this right here would return false. Only when we click on this, which has that class, would this return true. So if that's the case, we want to get e.target to get the element which was clicked. Then we need to somehow navigate to this li tag. So remember, we've covered this in the DOM section. We can use the .parent element to get the parent. Now the parent of this thing right here is the li tag, and that's the thing we want to remove. So we've got the li tag right there. Then we can remove it from the DOM by using the remove method, which we've also seen in the past as well. And that's all we need to do. So we attach an event listener to the list. Then when we click on the list, we check if the target element that we click was in fact the delete element, so the trash can over here. If it was, then we delete the parent of that trash can, which is the li tag itself. If it wasn't this returns false and we do nothing, we don't delete anything. So if we save this and preview, then we're going to try deleting something and this works. If we add something else like buy milk, then click on that, this works as well. We don't have to worry about adding any more event listeners. So that's the second part of the JavaScript done. The last part I want to do is this search to do. So if I refresh, if I currently search for something, then this is not going to work. I want to be able to filter out these things based on what I type, and we'll take a look at that in the next lecture.